The topic for today is about cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy is a group of disorders that affect normal movement in different parts of the body. This condition can cause problems with posture, manner of walking, muscle tone, and coordination of movement. The word cerebral refers to the brain cerebrum, which is the part of the brain that regulates motor function. Palsy describes the paralysis of voluntary movement in certain parts of the body. Cerebral palsy is considered a neurological disorder caused by a non-progressive brain injury or malformation that occurs while the child's brain is under development. Cerebral palsy is the result of a brain injury or a brain malformation. Individuals with cerebral palsy were most likely born with the condition, although some acquire it later.
It was once thought that cerebral palsy was caused by complication during the birthing process. While this does happen, it is now widely agreed that birthing complications account for only a small percentage, an estimated 10% of cerebral palsy cases. Current research suggests the majority of cerebral palsy cases result from abnormal brain development or brain injury prior to birth or during labor and delivery. Accidents, abuse, medical malpractice, negligence, infections, and injury are some known risk factors that may lead to cerebral palsy. What are the symptoms of cerebral palsy? The symptoms of cerebral palsy vary from person to person and range from mild to severe. Some people with cerebral palsy may have difficulty walking and sitting. Other people with cerebral palsy can have trouble grasping objects. The symptoms can become more severe or less severe over time. They also vary depending on the part of the brain that was affected.
Most children are born with cerebral palsy, but they may not show signs of a disorder until months or years later. Symptoms usually appear before a child reaches age 3 or 4 years old. So what causes cerebral palsy? Abnormal brain development or injury to the developing brain can cause cerebral palsy. The damage affects the part of the brain that controls body movement, coordination, and posture. Brain damage usually occurs before birth, but it can also happen during birth or the first years of life. In most cases, the exact cause of cerebral palsy isn't known. Some of the possible causes including asphyxia, neonatorum, gene mutation, severe jaundice, maternal infections, brain infections, bleeding into the brain, head injuries, and etc.
What are the different types of cerebral palsy? Spastic cerebral palsy, spastic CP is the most common type of CP, affecting approximately 80% of people with CP. It causes stiff muscles and exaggerated reflexes, making it difficult to walk. Many people with spastic CP have walking abnormalities, such as crossing their knees or making scissor-like movement with their legs while walking. Muscle weakness and paralysis may also be present. The symptoms can affect the entire body or just one side of the body. Kinetic cerebral palsy. People with this kinetic CP have trouble controlling their body movements. The disorder causes involuntary abnormal movements in the arms, legs, and hands. In some cases, the face and tongue are also affected. The movements can be slow or rapid and jerky. They can make it difficult for the affected people to walk, sit, swallow, or talk.
Hypotonic cerebral palsy causes diminished muscle tone and overly relaxed muscles. The arms and legs move very easily and appear floppy like a rag doll. Babies with this type of cerebral palsy have little control over their head and may have trouble breathing. As they grow older, they may struggle to sit up straight as a result of their weakened muscles. They can also have difficulty speaking, poor reflexes, and walking abnormalities. Ataxic cerebral palsy is the least common type of cerebral palsy. Ataxic cerebral palsy is characterized by voluntary muscle movements that often appear disorganized, clumsy, or jerky. People with this form of cerebral palsy usually have problems with balance and coordination. They may have difficulty walking and performing fine motor functions such as grasping objects and writing.
Mixed cerebral palsy. Some people have a combination of symptoms from the different types of CP. This is called mixed CP. In most cases of mixed CP, people experience a mix of spastic and dyskinetic CP. What's the long-term outlook for people with cerebral palsy? There's no cure for CP, but the condition can often be treated and managed effectively. The specific type of treatment varies from person to person. Some people with CP may not need very much assistance, and others might need extensive, long-term care for their symptoms. Regardless of the severity of the condition, treatment can improve the lives of those with CP. Cerebral palsy is non-life-threatening, incurable, non-progressive, and permanent. Thank you for watching, and we hope you learned something.